Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Or me?
Would you hear me if I want another title?
If I had more diplomas,
If I dressed a certain way,
Would you listen if I was more assertive?
more assertive.
Less assertive?
If I could speak without interruption.
If I wasn't black,
if I was older,
younger,
Thinner?
Louder.
If I
if I wasn't a woman.
if I wasn't a woman.
Do you hear me? I went to doctors. Some people thought I had asthma, other people just didn't know. Someone told me maybe I should see a psychologist. I started experiencing symptoms of Sjögren syndrome in my early 20s. They mostly presented as fatigue, inexplicable fatigue. But not just like, oh, I'm tired, I had a long day, like, just can't get rid of it. Something's wrong, fatigue. I just thought, wow, I just need to work harder because I'm not in shape. Not being able to be diagnosed affected my tennis career because I didn't have any opportunity to address what was wrong with me. So I finally had gotten to a point where I just couldn't play anymore. I just was starting to feel too bad. You don't really know if something's really wrong until you can get a diagnosis. And so until that time, you're just wondering why. The doctor who diagnosed my Sjögren's, I don't know, he just said, you have Sjögren syndrome. And I think you're like, what is that? How do you say that? You're like, spell that for me. I'm glad I have a name to what's bothering me. There's definitely no endpoint when you live with a chronic condition. If you accept it, then you're also less afraid. This is what you have, but you don't have to let it take over your life. Of course, doctors really have to look at the whole picture. For example, Sjögren syndrome affects more women than men, but you can't look at a person's gender and then treat them differently as a patient because of their gender, and that is absolutely something that does exist. My hope for the future of women and equality in the health industry is that no woman will have to go in and think that they're gonna have to fight harder or advocate harder for their health or for their mother's health, sister's health, their daughter's health, or even that men won't have to feel like that they have to do that for their family members because they're a woman.
My grandma had 11 kids. My mom has 4 kids. I just couldn't wrap my mind around the idea of not having a baby. I had so much hope. When we got pregnant in 2007, I was nervous but excited because I wanted to have a kid, but we were still young. Within about 2 months into the pregnancy, my doctor couldn't hear the heartbeat. It was like, you had a miscarriage, go home, you'll pass it. But I was clueless, I didn't know what pass it means. As a week went on, I just noticed that I started to feel really tired. I called in and they told me it's normal. I was like, are you guys sure something is not right? And I said, I haven't passed anything. The next day, the nurse called me and she was like, we double check your HCG levels. For someone who should have a miscarriage, your pregnancy hormones is like really high still. We're gonna have you come in tomorrow and we're gonna check and make sure that everything is normal. When I went in, I was surprised because I was hoping to see my doctor that I've been seeing for the past 2 years. They was like, she's not available And so they had me see someone else. She said, the good news is you didn't have a miscarriage, you're pregnant. The bad news is the baby is stuck in your tubes and we need to rush you to ER because if we don't, it can erupt and there's a possibility that you can die. I just felt like if I wasn't in tune with my body and I didn't listen to my body, I wouldn't have been here. I've had a friend who died from an ectopic pregnancy, and it was really scary to find out that your baby is alive, but we gotta get it out of you because it can kill you. I allowed myself to heal for a year, and then we tried again. I got pregnant in 2009. I had a successful pregnancy and I had my son. This is my third and final. In this pregnancy, I feel in control when it comes to who I choose for my doctor, how I want to be taken care of. I have that peace of mind now. I believe it's important to listen to women because there's a thing called a woman's intuition. It's something that we are born with, and we can tell you when something is wrong with us. From young, we've learned how to check our bodies, check for lumps. So if we are telling you that something is wrong with our bodies, you need to listen to us. Because at the end of the day, we are the one that carries life. How is life gonna continue without us?
I've had stomach aches kind of my whole life, anxiety stomach aches too. And I knew that these stomach aches were just a little different. If I had gone home that night, I would have had internal bleeding and died. I was 26 years old when I found out that I had ovarian cancer. When I first noticed that something was wrong, I woke up at 5 a.m. and my stomach hurt so bad that I went in to urgent care and waited forever. The doctor said it's probably just a cyst or it's probably just your period. There's nothing we can do about it. I asked, could I please have an ultrasound just to see what's going on there? And he said, I mean, if you really want an ultrasound, then I have to give you a pelvic exam. Do you really want me to give you a pelvic exam? That was like the first time I went to the doctor on my own. I don't have my mom on the phone with me. I went to different doctors just to see what was up. And then finally it got to a point where I knew something was in me, so I went into the hospital and I refused to go home. It was really scary, and I didn't get seen until about midnight. Finally, when they went in and did the ultrasound, I asked the girl, I said, what do you see in there? And she goes, legally I can't tell you, but you're gonna be here all night. And they found an 8-centimeter tumor that had flipped my ovary 3 times. The doctor's reaction after seeing my ultrasound, what they thought was a cyst, it was the first time someone's been helpful. She was able to tell me that there was for sure something there, that I wasn't just being dramatic. There's no screening for ovarian cancer, and from the ultrasounds, they thought it was just a cyst. So when we finally found the right doctor, I started treatment. It is a high note because I beat it, but there's so much more that I've learned about my body. Where I am now with ovarian cancer is I will be 6 months in remission. I'm really, really excited about that. I think my experience was a result of gender bias. If ovarian cancer is called the silent killer, but the signs are bloating and stomach aches, and you have somebody coming in repeatedly, I don't know why you wouldn't take that more seriously. I hope women in the future experience a lot more support from healthcare providers. They can feel like it's a space where they can speak up. And I hope it's taught to women at a young age. If you think something's wrong, then stay on it. If you're getting dismissed, keep fighting.